Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So we want to load users here from our table. So the users manager needs to be able to connect to the users table. So let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to come back here for a second. Now we go back to our users manager plugin here. Okay, and we go to our plugin.php. So the view part is here. So I want us to read information from here before we actually load the view. So in here, we can create a model that will read from the users table. Now the thing is, you may be asking, the basic auth plugin is the one that's responsible for creating the users table, right? And we'll come back to that in a bit. So it's the one that contains the model, which is this one, the user model that connects to the correct table. Now you may be wondering, how do we use this user model to actually read our data from here? The answer is we don't. So we have to create models that are for this plugin. So if we want to connect to the users table, we need to create another model, a different version of the same one, but one that will live in the users manager. Now the reason for this, yes, it will represent repeated code, but the thing is, remember that plugins should be self-contained single systems. So we have to make sure that it has everything it needs in order to run. It should never depend on another plugin. So you have to keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is go to my basic auth model, open this folder for models, and I'm just going to copy this file. So best would be to just copy the folder here and then go back to plugins and go to users manager and just paste like so. So that will replace the contents in there. So now our users manager has a user model right there. So since this is a unique version, you can actually tailor it for users manager, because there may be certain things that the users manager should not be able to edit. Because, for example, we are not going to be, we will be inserting stuff. So you can edit it to suit this particular plugin here. So I'll close that. So here we will need that user class. So I'm going to say user is equal to new, and in this case we are using the basic auth because that's the namespace that it's in. So we'll say basic auth user. But keep in mind that we've just copied this to another plugin. So we don't want it to have exactly the same namespace as this other one here, because if you instantiate them twice or you load both of them at the same time, you will have a problem. So here we will call this one users manager like that. So if we had created our own from scratch using the command line too, it would have written this namespace for us. So we just say users manager namespace like so, and then save that, and then come back here and replace that. This is the one we want. So I'm going to do this. So once we have that, now we can actually read data if we need to. So now at this point, we don't know whether we are viewing the list or editing or adding or whatever it is. So now you can make separate files to do that for this, or you can use this single view file and then just put if statements to show you the right code at the right time. I like to use one file because it makes it easier to edit when I want to make, let's say, a categories manager. It's easier to edit that stuff in one file, but it doesn't matter. You can actually have several view files here, which is okay. For example, you can say edit.php, add.php, and so on. So for now, here we are in the view.php. So I'm going to click on, this is a users manager again. So we come down here. Now we can actually use those things here because I don't want to read from the plugin. Where is that plugin? Let me close the ones I don't need. So you could put an if statement here to know what to do. So maybe let's try that. So I'm going to say if, let's do URL like that. Now we can come back here to see what we're looking for. So if, for example, there is nothing here, there's admin and there's users. Now if we click add, it should be /add. If we click edit, it should be /edit and then / the ID of the item we're editing. So in this case, we're looking for a third param here. Is it add? Is it edit? Is it view? So here we'll say admin. This is 0 and this is 1. So we're looking for number 2. So let me come back here. I'll put 2 there. So if URL 2, so first of all, if plugin route here, so let's do this like so. And then what we can do is put an else statement here. Actually, no, that isn't right. I just wanted those curly braces. And then I could put this if statement in there like so. So let me move these guys up a step and tab them like so. So if this one is equal to, and there's plugin route, so this doesn't matter. If it's equal to, let's say add, let me do this. And this is where I will put the else statement. Okay, so there's add, edit, and then there's delete. And then we just have an else here. So else is view. And then this add should probably go, let's put separate files, I guess. So it's easier to edit when you want to edit them. And then delete, like so. Okay, so we have add, edit, and delete, and view here, all wrapped up in one. So we need to create those files over here. Now at this point, it won't show any errors because we are viewing that one file that does exist, which is the view. So let me click on here. If I come down here now, I can obviously grab some rows and say rows is equal to user. And then we can just read by saying find all, like that. So I want to see what it gets within, or what rows are returned right there. So let me refresh. So it doesn't know the find all. Maybe we called it something else, or is it get all? So whenever you forget a method like this, you can just go into the model.php because it's the one that contains most of these we'll be using. There's the delete, update, where. Okay, so we don't actually have a find all. Oh, it is here, get all. That's what it is. So let's change that to get all, like so. Let's come back and refresh. Okay, so it says undefined variable limit on line 63. So we are still correcting this stuff, some of the stuff we created in model. So let's go to model line 63, and there it is. So here it's saying this and that unknown. So it's a simple fix. We just need to say this and point like so. Okay, so let's come back here. And let's do a refresh, and there we go. So now it shows us there are 2 records there, which is awesome. So that's how we grab records from there. So let me close this model file. So we get all. Now for some reason, if you want to change the limit of, because here it has limit 10, you can do that by just saying user limit is equal to, and then you can put maybe 20 if you want. and then you can even change the offset if you want, just like this. Okay, so I want this to be 30, like that. So let me remove this, and that does it. So now on the other side, on the view file itself, I'm going to go to view. In here, I just want to loop. So what I'll do is I'll put a PHP tag and say if not empty rows, like that. And let's close that. And let me do the same thing here, PHP and if, like that. Okay. So I will move these guys in, and I'll duplicate, and I will duplicate like so. And then let's do for each. Let's say rows as row, like that. And here we have to end the for each, like that. Okay, so now we can put actual content here. So I will echo, I will use the escape key here, row, and do first name, close that and close that. Let me copy this to there, change that to last name, and of course here we'll say get image instead of this. So here I'll say get image, like that. Or in this case we're supposed to use get thumbnail or something. Anyway, this should be an image tag at the end of the day. Let me do this. Boom, 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 boom. So we'll say img, and then the source is this, and then let's close that, and then let's do a class is equal to, we'll do image thumbnail. This is one of the Bootstrap classes, image thumbnail. So just figure out which classes you want to use. If you're not using Bootstrap, you're using your own, put your classes that display your images correctly. We can also just add styles. For example, we can say style width. Let's put a square image here. I want 80 pixels maybe, and same with the height. I will limit to 8 pixels. Alright, now this may stretch some images, so instead we will do object fit and say cover, like that, to avoid stretching. And then here I will change that to image, like so. Okay, so with that in mind, let's put gender here. We don't need the escape here, but who knows. User rows, we're gonna deal with that in a minute. And here we'll say get date, like that, and then put date created, and date updated will be similar to this. So let's do that, date updated. Alrighty then, cool. Let's see what that gives us. So if I refresh, so I have all that. Apparently some of this doesn't work. So it looks like there's probably an error here. So what we can do is say right click and view page source. Usually there's some errors hidden down there. So let's see, get image argument 1 must be of type string, a no was given. Alright, so what we can do is there'll be many times when a no is possible here. So to solve this, you could just put this like so, but I would rather this is handled in the function itself to make it more resilient. So let's go to functions and look at the get image function right here. So it's got a string path, but let's put a question mark at the beginning to allow for emptiness. Okay, so in this case, if we get a no here, let's see, fire exists, could be an issue sending fire exists to an empty path. So what I can do here is just say if no, let's just do it this way. Path, and do this. Path is equal to path, and then empty string, like so. This will make sure that if it's null, it's turned to an empty string. Okay, then let's refresh. There we go. So there's a fatal error here. It says must be of type string. A null was given on get date. So argument 1 must be of type string. So if we come back, we'll see that on get date created seems to be null for some reason. So let's do the same thing we did over here. I'm gonna copy that, and let's find the get date function, and let's do the same thing here. I will change that to the date variable, like so. Okay, and let me, oh, that won't stop the error. However, we can put a question mark there, or you can just remove this whole thing entirely and it will work as well. Okay, so there we go. We have an image, we have rows, gender. Usually this 1st January 1970 is like that when there's no date, because this is the first, this is as good as saying the time is 0, because computers started counting since 1970, 1st January. So that's why it results to that. Now you could put an if statement so that if this is not there or this is empty, you just return unknown. Okay, that's entirely up to you. This is correct. Okay, pretty good. Now we need we need an ID over here. So back to the view. Here we will put an ID like that. Okay. Alrighty then. So there we are. Now this one is not the view. This is a list. View should be different. So we're going to come back here, and in the if statements of the plugin, where is that plugin? This should be called list, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this part again, like so. So there's delete, and then there's view. That's when we'll use the view.php there. This one should be list, so let's rename that to list.php. Okay, cool. Refresh, everything seems to be working as intended. Alright, so let's make these other ones work, like the add, edit, and delete. And we want to link some of these. Let me put those links. For example, the name, when somebody clicks on the image or the name, it should take them to a view version of the user profile here, a more detailed version. So what we'll do is let's put some links here. I'm gonna say actually let's just put a tags here. So the a tag will have root, of course, and then here it will have the admin route. So let's do this and say vars. Now instead of keep using vars here, what we can do is go to the plugin itself, plugin file here, and then from vars we can say admin route is equal to, and then let's get that from there. That way we don't have to reference the array, and then we can say so admin route and then plugin route, and that goes with plugin route. Let's make sure that's correct. Okay, that is correct. That way we can use a simplified version here. We can say admin route. We echo that and then slash. Let's echo the plugin route. Okay, and then slash. Since this is edit, this will go to the edit, and then slash, and then let's put row and the ID of that row like so. That's the link for the edit. And let me do this, and let's move that in. So we'll do the same thing, create a link like this for the delete. The only difference is that instead of the word edit, there will be delete. So let's change that to delete like that. And also you could put one for view if you'd want, and that will be view. I want to put an I there. I don't know if there's a... Let's do that in the search. Let's do I for viewing. Okay, while that is loading, let's get back here. Let's change this to view. And then instead of danger, let's put primary. All right. Anything else? Okay, it doesn't seem to work anymore. I think my internet is down a little bit, but let's refresh and see. Okay, so it actually works. That's great. So maybe view should be at the top, the first thing there. So preferences there. Okay, and then on top of that, let's grab the same view link and put it on the first name and last name as well. Okay, so let's do that. Boom. And boom. Let me move this. Let me move that. Here I will put a tag. Same closing a tag there, like so. You can do the same on the image as well. That way, clicking the image takes you to a view version of this. Okay, and the gender, let's capitalize that text. So there's gender here, and I can use UC first, like that, to capitalize the first letter. And then rows, I'm gonna do this. We'll add some more advanced stuff here to display user rows. Okay, great. I think this is looking good. Click on dashboard, click back here, and this is what we get. All right, so let's make these buttons over here actually work.